Good evening and welcome to the Planning Board meeting for Monday, November 13, 2023. It is 6:01 and I'm calling the meeting to order. Before we begin our meeting, there will be one general period of public comment tonight during oral communications. Persons speaking during the general public comment period may provide the Planning Board oral communication on any matter concerning city business. Members of the public may comment in person or by telephone, or you can e-comment. If you would like to participate in the public comment period by making an in-person comment, please present a completed speaker card to the planning staff. If you would like to participate in public comment on the phone, please call 818-238-3335 and we will announce when the phone lines are open. Mr. Monaco will lead us in the invocation, and I will lead us in the flag salute. If you'll please stand.
No one steps in the same river twice, because it's not the same river and it's not the same person. Each matter that comes before this commission is unique and exists in a world where the only constant is change. It is my sincere hope that this board, along with the support of the citizens of Burbank, will exercise clarity of thought and a willingness to understand and adapt as life moves on and we are faced with new realities and ideas.
Thank you. Please join me in saluting our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Get the roll call, please.
Chair Rosati,
I am here.
Vice Chair Wick,
Present.
Commissioner Monaco. Commissioner Monaco,
Did you say me? Oh, yes, present.
Commissioner McAtumian, absent. Commissioner Elric.
Here.
Thank you.
Good. Do we have any announcements from the staff, city staff?
No new announcements.
Okay, there is one public hearing item on tonight's agenda, item number 1. Now is the time and place for public hearing on project number 23003197, a request for a variance to allow a proposed swimming pool and spa to encroach into the required front yard setback and a minor fence exemption to legalize the installation of a 6-foot-high solid vinyl fence along the front of the property line within the front yard setback. Before we begin, do any planning board members have any legal, financial, or other conflict of interest regarding this hearing?
No.
No. No.
That's a no, and I'm a no. Have any planning board members had any communications, including written, oral, with any person about this particular project?
No.
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 No. Mr. Ramirez, have the notices by law been given?
Yes, they have.
And are there any written communications on this matter?
Other than the one that was included in your packet,
Packet.
no others.
Okay. Will the representative of the Community Development Department please introduce yourself and summarize the matter for us?
Yes, thank you, Chair Rosati. Can you please bring up the presentation? Good evening, Chair Rosati and members of the Commission. My name is Leonard Pache, Principal Planner and Project Planner with the Community Development Department. The project before you this evening is a request for a variance and a minor fence exception on a property located at 1310 Evergreen Street. The property is owned by Jason and Holly Avdul, who are with us this evening, and they're also the project applicant. The applicants are proposing the installation of an in-ground swimming pool and spa and is requesting a variance to allow the in-ground swimming pool and spa to encroach into the front yard setback, a maximum of 14 feet. Furthermore, the applicant recently installed a 6-foot-high solid vinyl fence along the front property line and within the front yard setback. And so they're also requesting a minor fence exception to legalize the installation of the new fence in the front yard setback. The project site is located in the R1, or Single Family Residential Zone, and is within the Single Family Residential Land Use Designation of the Burbank 2035 General Plan. The site currently contains an existing single-family dwelling with an attached ADU, which is consistent with both the zoning and general plan land use designations. This slide provides an aerial view of the project site. As you can see, the project site is an irregularly shaped lot. This lot irregularity is the result of the angle of Evergreen Street between West Burbank Boulevard and North Pass Avenue, which creates a triangular block. The lots within this triangular block fronting Evergreen Street range in depth from 0 feet to 176.78 feet, while the lots fronting North Pass Avenue range in depth from 30 feet to 120 feet. Lot street frontages range in width from 50 feet to 126 feet. The project site has a depth, as measured between the front and rear property lines, ranging between 27.41 feet to 88.05 feet from south to north, and a street frontage width of 113.64 feet, as measured along the front property line. This makes this project site twice as wide, while at the same time considerably shallower to the other properties located to the north along Evergreen Street. The existing dwelling was constructed on the northerly, deeper portion of the lot. The southerly portion of the lot constitutes the largest amount of open space, and while it includes the front yard setback area, this is the area that the property owners are using as their primary private open space. So this slide provides photos of the property. So the top photo is the northerly portion of the property where the existing dwelling is built. The photo on the bottom is the southerly portion of the property where the solid vinyl fence is installed surrounding the side and front yard of the property, where the applicant is proposing to install the in-ground swimming pool and spa. These photos of the site show the front and side yard area where the applicant is proposing the swimming pool and spa. The picture to the left is a yard area looking south from the dwelling, while the picture on the right is the yard area looking north towards the dwelling from the corner of the site on the south. These photos show the surrounding neighborhood. The photo on the left is looking north along Evergreen Street. The photo in the center is looking directly across Evergreen Street from the project site, and the photo on the right is looking south along Evergreen Street. This is the proposed site plan, which shows the project site, including the proposed location of the swimming pool and spa, and the location where the 6-foot-high solid vinyl fence is currently installed. So beyond the irregularity of the lot shape, the site plan here also shows the presence of a 7-foot 6-inch utility easement that runs along the rear portion of the lot. This easement prohibits construction of any permanent structures, including swimming pools and spas, within the easement area. The irregular lot configuration and utility easement serve to deprive the applicant a substantial property right by severely limiting the amount of lot area where they can expand the dwelling, or in this case, install an in-ground pool and spa without encroaching into the required front yard setback. In this case, the applicant is requesting to encroach a maximum of 14 feet into the front yard setback. A variance is a request to deviate from the current zoning requirements. This can be done when the property owner demonstrates that under the prevailing zoning ordinance, a hardship, which is out of their control and unique to the property, prevents them from the full enjoyment of the property. As part of the application, the applicant is requesting a variance to allow the proposed swimming pool and spa to encroach a maximum of 14 feet into the front yard setback as shown on the site plan. Given that the open southern yard, which includes the front yard setback area, is the only area on the lot large enough to accommodate the proposed swimming pool and spa, the variance will allow both to encroach into the front yard setback, while also keeping both out of the utility easement. This will allow the applicant the ability to enjoy the same property right as owners of similarly zoned and surrounding properties with traditional lot configurations that can accommodate installation of swimming pools and spas in their respective rear yards behind their existing dwellings. The second request is a minor fence exception and is intended to allow exceptions to the standards for fences, walls, and hedges in the single and multiple family zones. So the property owners recently replaced an approximately 6-foot-high ivy-covered fence with a 6-foot-high solid vinyl fence along the front property line, immediately behind the sidewalk and within the front yard setback area, where the fence encloses a gap between the dwelling structure and the sidewalk as shown in the picture. At the southwestern corner of the property, where it abuts an adjoining irregularly shaped lot, it meets an approximately 6-foot-high block wall. You can see that in the picture to the very left corner of the picture. The remainder of the properties fronting Evergreen Street up to the intersection with North Pass Avenue have solid walls or fences with vegetation that are over 5 feet high along their respective front property lines immediately behind the sidewalk. BMC Section 10-1-603H limits the heights of walls and fences within the front yard setback area to 4 feet, with 50% of the wall or fence being open. The requested minor fence exception will legalize the 6-foot-high solid vinyl fence installed along the front property line and within the front setback area, and continue to provide security and privacy for the applicants use of the yard area for their personal enjoyment. Furthermore, the solid vinyl fence is consistent in both height and design with the fences and walls found immediately south of the project site, where they exist at heights greater than 5 feet along the street facing property lines. It is staff's assessment that the project satisfies all 4 of the required findings for a variance. The irregular lot configuration creates an exceptional or extraordinary condition that precludes the applicant from enjoying the same property right as property owners of surrounding properties with traditional configurations when it comes to installing an in-ground swimming pool and spa. In fact, several other properties in the same vicinity have swimming pools in their respective rear yards. The variance will allow the applicant the ability to install the swimming pool and spa that encroaches into the front yard setback, a maximum of 14 feet, that would otherwise not be allowed under the R1 development standards, thereby allowing them the same enjoyment of their property as the surrounding property owners. Furthermore, the project satisfies all 8 of the required findings for the minor fence exception. The 6-foot-high vinyl fence constructed along the southerly front property line and within the front yard setback area is conditioned to provide the required corner cutback to ensure adequate visibility for motorists backing out of the driveway, since the vinyl fence is installed within the corner cutback area where the property driveway meets the sidewalk. Furthermore, the material used for the fencing is solid vinyl, which is commonly used for residential fencing. The design of the front yard fence is consistent with typical residential design and will allow the applicant the ability to provide greater security and privacy to the property while still allowing the property to be visible from the street. Apart from the standards that the applicant is requesting relief from through the variance of the minor fence exception, the project is consistent with the general plan land use designation and the zoning code designation of the property, which are both single-family residential. Public outreach for the project was done in accordance with Section 10-1-1964 of the Burbank Municipal Code. Information regarding the project was circulated in the newspaper 10 days prior to the hearing. Public notices with information regarding the variance of minor fence exception were mailed out to all residents and property owners within a 1,000-foot radius of the project site. Staff received 2 telephone calls asking for clarification on the project and 1 email comment in support of the project, which is attached to the staff report as Exhibit E. With that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Burbank approving project number 23-003197, a variance to allow a proposed swimming pool and spa to encroach into the required front yard setback, and minor fence exception to legalize the installation of a 6-foot-high solid vinyl fence along the front property line and within the required front yard setback on a single-family residential property, and finding the project categorically exempt under CEQA and based on the findings of fact and subject to conditions of approval. This concludes staff's presentation, and we're available for questions should the commission have any. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now invite the applicant or their representative to address the planning board. You'll have a maximum time of 15 minutes to make your presentation.
Hello. As you've seen in our variance application, the distinct features of our property present challenges that prevent its utilization in the same manner as other properties within our community. Our irregular lot shape means that unlike most other properties in our area, we do not have a backyard in the traditional sense. This means that our family uses our side yard as our primary outdoor space. And like many other homeowners in the area, we would like to add an in-ground pool to our property so that we may further enjoy our outdoor space. The exceptional circumstances related to our property hinders its use in a manner consistent with neighboring properties. While we understand and respect the importance of zoning regulations, we believe that granting a variance in this case is warranted to address the unique challenges possessed by our property. We would like to express our sincere appreciation to the city for considering our specific circumstances surrounding our property. Your thoughtful evaluation of this variance request is greatly appreciated.
Thank you. We will now open up the meeting to hear from any persons who wish to speak on this matter. Each person may address the planning board for a maximum time of 3 minutes. For members of the public who wish to comment in person, please present a completed speaker card to the planning staff if you wish to speak. For members of the public that wish to comment by telephone, you can call 818-238-3335 to address the planning board. Callers may be placed in the queue until all in-person comments have been received. The phone lines are now open. Please bear with us as we get the first few callers in. Callers that get through the line, please reduce the volume on your TV or your computer and take your phone off speaker to deliver your comment. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone on the phone?
Not at this time.
Why don't we give it a second or two? Anyone?
No, sir.
Okay. And now declare the public comment period closed. Would the representative of the Community Development Department like to make any further comments?
No further comments at this time.
Does the applicant wish to make any further comments? No further comments. The applicant signaling no. Does the planning board have any questions for staff or the applicant? Ms. Wick.
I just had a quick question as far as the timeline breakdown in terms of permitting and construction, and this either could be for the applicant or staff, in terms of when the permit was applied for, it looks like June 20th was when the application for the pool setback, and then September was the application for the fence exception. Just kind of curious the timeline in terms of when this was first applied for and kind of what happened in between June and us being here right now.
Yes, okay. Leonard Pache from the Community Development Department. So this is actually a project that has been, at least with us, in plan check form now for about a year, almost a year and a half. So it came in and they were told initially, and it was under another applicant that the owners were using, that it couldn't be accommodated in that yard area as proposed because of the front yard setback and then because of the utility easement. And so it kind of went back and forth with the other departments. And it wasn't until earlier this year, around May, that we essentially, it came up again as a resubmittal. And we again told them, you're not able to propose the pool without going through a variance process. So essentially, from May to June is when they actually submitted their application for the variance. Staff looked at it more closely to ensure it was something we could support. And then at the same time, while all that's going on, the fence was also replaced. And so given that we were here for a variance, we also decided to take them through the minor fence exception process to legalize the installation of the fence. So that, we had them apply for that later in the year when we did a site visit to do the measurements to make sure that it would fall into the confines of the minor fence exception process.
Got it. And then by change of applicant, does that mean change of architect, contractor,
Yes,
what
it's
have you?
they have a new contractor now than they had at the beginning.
Okay.
And so we met with the contractor and explained to him what the issues were. And really, the only option for them to accommodate the swimming pool would have been to have gone through a variance.
Sure. And then as far as applying for the fence exception, did that cost the applicants more money to go through plan check for that?
No, because
Okay.
the fence, since it's under 7 feet, it doesn't require a building permit,
Got it.
so it wouldn't have gone through plan check. However, what they will have to do, and it is conditioned that within a year, they'll have to basically fix the corner of where that fence meets the driveway and the sidewalk in order to provide the required corner cutoff, which essentially keeps anything out of that 5 foot. So it's 5 feet measured from the sidewalk into the property and then measured along the sidewalk. So that triangle that's created by those measurements, you can't have anything over 3 feet in height. So they would have to essentially alter the design of the fence in order to meet that requirement.
Okay. Thank you.
I had a couple quick questions that dovetail into this. So we're giving them a fence exemption for something that's already been built.
Yes,
Is the swimming pool in?
the swimming pool's not in.
But the fence is up.
The fence is up.
And was that
Yes.
permitted?
The fence would have been, it would only be permitted through a minor fence exception. And the reason why it's before you tonight is because it's also part of the variance application, which requires your review and approval. Whereas a minor fence exception for fences that are less than 6 feet in height, of total height, would require just a staff review and approval.
So the fence was built without pulling permits.
There's no building permit that's required for it, but essentially it was built in the front yard setback over height. So in the front yard, they're only allowed to go up to 4 feet.
Up to 4 feet.
Right.
And then when is the corner cutoff going to be? Because I drove by the property and it's the first thing I noticed. If you back out of that driveway and there's a kid coming by on a bike, you can't see him. So when is that going to be fixed?
So they're conditioned right now to complete that within a year of approval of the minor fence exception.
Why is that a year? I mean, it's a safety thing. Shouldn't we say immediately? I mean, first of all, the fence was built outside of code, and now you're coming back and asking for an exemption. So why are we saying a year from now?
It was to provide them additional time to install it, and it also replaces a wood fence that was solid that was there, that was essentially non-conforming. However, the commission has the purview to shorten that amount of time
Okay.
if they like.
And the pool's not in?
The pool is not in.
Okay.
So the pictures that I showed in the presentation show the yard as it exists today.
Mr. Monaco?
Just two questions. I noticed that the pool equipment is going to be actually within the, does not need an approval for the setback. It's going to be in that area already. I noticed that.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah, correct.
Now, with regard to the fence, how are you gonna get the equipment into the place to build the pool?
That
Does the
would,
fence have to come down?
It's got double doors off the driveway.
yeah, there's a gate
Does?
entrance on the driveway.
Okay, yeah, because that was my question. I mean, if you had to take the fence down to move the equipment in, then you're gonna have to get an approval to do the fence back up.
Well, your approval tonight would cover basically the removal
All right,
for
but just as,
installation.
but there's no need to bring down the fence in order to move the equipment into the backyard.
At this point, no, but we can always ask the applicants what the plan is to do the installation of the pool.
Yeah, because it's just, again, if it happens to be that you need to remove the fence in order to get the backhoe in there,
Actually, nowadays, they just drop a Bobcat right over
they
with.
drop the Bobcat?
Yeah,
Okay.
they use a crane, they just drop it right over. So I've seen
Never
a
seen
couple of
that.
my clients have done the same thing.
Well, that answered my question.
Any more questions? Okay, seeing none, I now declare the public hearing closed. The planning board will now deliberate. What is the planning board's pleasure? Mr. Muckatarian, I see you pressing your button.
Yes. Good evening. Thank you for coming and thank you for applying. Thank you. And Leonard, thank you for your thoughtful presentation. While I don't agree that it's the highest and best use of land use to build a pool, and also, not too far off from a drought, using water resources for a pool, I do think this is a reasonable application, and I can see why you'd like to enjoy your backyard. So I can support this.
Okay,
I just
Mr.
like to
O.
make a motion to approve.
go ahead and make your motion.
Okay. Motion to a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Burbank approving project number 23-0003197, a variance to allow a proposed swimming pool and spa to encroach into the required front yard setback, and minor fence exception to legalize the installation of a 6-foot high solid vinyl fence along the front property line and within the required front yard setback on a single-family residential property, and finding the project categorically exempt under CEQA, based on the findings of the fact and subject to conditions of approval.
We have a motion. We have a second. More discussion? Ms. Wick?
I would support, but I would propose, instead of a year, 6 months to fix, the corner. I would normally say shorter, but we're going to the holidays, so I understand that construction's hard right now.
I was thinking 3 months. I don't know if that's feasible. The applicant says yes with a nod. Look, all it takes is for one person not to see a kid backing out, and man, all of us are sitting here going, man, we blew it.
Did you guys see the property on Google Street View with it was already that high before?
Doesn't matter.
I understand you guys' concern. It's been like that for years, so.
You got to have that corner cut off. The reason why we have a corner cut off, and I'm just being personal. I used to live on the corner of Reese and Clark, and there was a neighbor diagonal from me, and the kid was coming along a tricycle, and dad was coming out, hit his own son with a Suburban. So, look, it's, to me, I think we just nip that in the bud as soon as possible. A year's too long. In my opinion, it should have been done properly with permits, and then you wouldn't be in this position. So, I think if we just say, let's get it done in 3 months, get a fence guy out there, it's only the corner, and they can fix it.
I'm comfortable with that. I would also add that just because something has been that way for so long, that doesn't necessarily mean it needs to continue that way. That's all I would add, because we're all here to make the city better and safer, and, we all know that traffic's an issue, accidents are an issue, and let's nip it.
Yeah, look, the code is 4 feet. They mentioned that everyone down that side of the street has got their fence higher than 4 feet. So, in my opinion, they all should be cited. Either you're going to follow the rules and you follow what's on the books, or you're not. And when you have a front, you have a front yard fence, it used to be 3 feet, and I know that because I put a picket fence around my house. I went to the city, they said 3 feet, and then they changed it to 4 feet. Now we're getting a variance for 6. But if you go through the proper channels, that cutoff would have been there to begin with. So I think it's important to take care of it, as soon as possible and go through the proper channels. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any more discussion?
Yeah,
Mr. Monaco.
so if we're gonna put a condition on there that they have to do, cutting that corner off within 3 months, is that part of the motion now?
Yes, so
Yeah,
we'll do it as,
We'll do it as part, okay.
Yeah. right, as amended, right?
Well, I think there's a first and a second, so if the first is amenable to the change that's being considered by the commission, which, if I'm hearing it correctly, it sounds like
Maybe.
there's maybe a majority that was looking at 3 months?
Yeah.
Would the maker of the motion be amenable to 3 months?
As amended, yeah.
And the person making the second?
Yes,
So
Okay.
now there's a first and a second with an amended motion that would have a condition to address the corner cutoff within 3 months of approval.
Yep.
Correct.
Ms. McIntyre? No? Any further discussion? Seeing none, go ahead and poll us, as amended.
Chair Rosati,
Yes.
Vice Chair Wick,
Yes.
Commissioner Monaco,
yes.
Commissioner Markatumian,
Yes.
and Commissioner Elwick.
Yes.
Pass 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks.
Now is the time for reports from city staff. Are there any reports?
Chair, if you'd, I think I'm providing comments during city planners, so I guess it's not quite yet the time.
Okay. So we'll move on to oral communications. Now is the time for oral communications from the public. Any person speaking during this period may address the planning board on any matter concerning city business. Each person may address the planning board for a maximum time of 3 minutes. For members of the public that wish to comment in person, please present a speaker card to the planning division. For members wishing to call in and comment by phone, it's 818-238-3335 to address the planning board. Callers will be placed in the queue, and in-person comments will be held and received. The phone lines are now open. Please bear with us as we get the first few callers in. Madam Clerk, do we have any callers?
Not as of yet.
Not a very exciting evening. We'll give it a minute. I'm sensing we don't have anybody on the phone.
That's correct.
I now declare the public comment period closed. Now is the time for approval of the minutes. If we've had a chance to review the minutes from August, if I can get the appropriate motion.
I move to approve the minutes?
We have a motion.
Second?
We have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, will you go ahead and poll us, please?
Chair Rosati,
Yes.
Vice Chair Wick,
Yes.
Commissioner Monaco,
Yes.
Commissioner Markatumian,
Yes.
Commissioner Elric.
Abstain.
Approved 5-0.
Now is the
Sorry,
time
4-0.
for
Sorry.
the introduction of additional agenda items. Planning Commissioner members may introduce new items for discussion, but no action may take place except to put it on a future agenda. Does anyone have anything they want to put on a future agenda? Seeing none. Now is the time for city planner comments.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the commission. Just wanted to give you an update. There was a list of planning commission follow-up items that we've had over the last couple of months where the commission has asked for additional information or provided us with some feedback about things to consider on larger planning efforts. I just wanted to report back since we recently undertook some effort to get the council to approve some long-range planning efforts that may address those, so I'll take those in order. There's 3 items that Commissioner Elric has brought up in the past. I wanted to respond. One of them was to consider a nexus study to create opportunities for a new horse park and other trails. I think it referred to the Golden State specific plan, but I think we've discussed other areas as well. The other one was considering implementing of a commercial equestrian zone in the Rancho, similar to the city of Glendale. And I'll take those 2, and then we'll talk about the third one. So we were approved by council to undertake the preparation of the Burbank Rancho neighborhood-specific plan. That will be starting fairly soon here at the beginning of the year. There's some other work that's being done in anticipation of that related to legislative action taken recently, which will also be before the council as part of an urgency ordinance before the end of the year. So those 2 topics are things that would be considered during public discussion of different things to include within the Rancho neighborhood specific plan. So I wanted to make sure you all were aware of it, because I think at the time that was kind of one of the driving forces is how do we incorporate these type of components, and that would be through the specific plan process. So I just wanted to kind of let you know that those items will be looked at with a bunch of other things that I think we're going to get public input on regarding the Rancho neighborhood specific plan. The other one was discuss codifying measurements of top of plate for single family homes from average grade, and then just a general overview of top of plate measurements. So we are in the process of preparing an update regarding the R1 standards that were updated. We are going to be going back to council to provide them with that update within the next month. I believe actually December 5th. I'll have to double check, but I think that's the date. And so what we'll do is we'll provide an update on what we think are improvements to the timeframes for review, for initial review of single family, as well as all the new development standards that were derived from the neighborhood compatibility checklist that used to be part of the single family special development permit process. That will be an agendized item. Included as part of that are future items for consideration, one of which is to look at top of plate. So that'll happen. And what that means is that if we do undertake an effort for a new zone text amendment, that would come back to the commission, and the commission would hear that. So just wanted to give you an update there. When we had a presentation on the Civic Center, I believe then board member Atukenian had a question regarding, a couple of questions, but the discussion was wanting additional information regarding Measure P, and specifically budget and sample contracts as they relate to the Civic Center project and the development of the library. So that'll be something that'll be coming at a later date. I don't have that information, but we are reaching out to my colleagues in finance so that they could provide maybe an overview on Measure P and how that relates to projects that are being undertaken, whether it's a large public works project like the development of a library or other infrastructure related funded projects under Measure P. And then this is an outstanding item, but I think items coming forth will help elaborate on this particular issue. And this was a question that members of the commission in the past have had, is to what kind of supporting information is typically provided with project applications. So that type of information is as varied as the application requests that we get. Some of which, when we bring forth things like a specific plan, include a lot of information regarding technical studies, economic analyses, including looking at things, different policy questions that may be applicable when we undertake those efforts. So that one will be one of those ongoing things that we'll look at in the long term. And then not included on my list, but I remember we did have this discussion, is I believe I was going to reach out to my colleagues in BWP to talk about questions regarding the urban water management plan and the integrated resources plan, because there were questions regarding, as new development comes forth, does our infrastructure have the capacity to support that projected growth, or how are we going to analyze what the impacts to the system are? So just wanted to make sure that we flagged all those items that have been previously requested. The two, like I said at the onset, are related to the upcoming specific plan, and that's how those will be vetted and discussed with the community. And if there's enough interest from the community, then those will be looked at as part of the larger specific plan effort. And then the other one, like I said, we have an update coming, so a zone text amendment in the future would address top of plate. And then the other two are really more informational presentations that'll be coming to you in the coming year.
Where are we at with the downtown specific plan?
Well, the planner that's working on it is actually Principal Planner Leonard Boucher. It's not on agenda, but I'll just say it this way.
Just general,
We're currently in the process of developing standards. So the development standards that would apply to projects within it. We went to the council not too long ago and got kind of a confirmation of the analysis that we're going to be undertaking, including projected growth for the project, like how much new housing, how much new FAR we'd be looking at as part of the specific plan. We also got feedback from council regarding what they call is a increased development alternative, so that we could look at that from a CEQA standpoint, so we could in essence evaluate the potential impacts to the infrastructure system and other services to the city. So we're in the process of finalizing a notice of preparation, which is kind of an updated project description that we're going to be making available, and that should be made available within the month.
Yes.
All right, and Lenny can just, maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we're actually, and we also made a presentation to the commission, I think back in April of 2023, where we kind of gave you the update. So we're essentially actually finalizing the NOP today, and it will be made available to the public for a 30-day review starting this Thursday, which would be the 16th, until December 15th. And then on November 30th, we'll have a virtual scoping meeting for the EIR, and then a project update for the project. And that would be the Thursday evening, November 30th, from 6 p.m. to about 7:30 p.m. virtually.
Okay, good. So we're making some headway.
Yeah, by the way, I see the glaring eye of our city attorney. But just, it's on record, we're going to be noticing also the media district specific plan. There's a community meeting this Wednesday at Buena Vista.
Yeah.
And there'll also be a subsequent meeting the following day, Thursday, and that will have to do with the, is that the notice of
Yeah, so that's
preparation?
their notice of preparation would be that day.
Okay.
So I only say that so that you realize that there's, it's kind of like feast or famine. So we haven't had a lot of meetings, but now all of a sudden there's a lot of planning effort, things that are going to be coming to the commission in the coming months.
Yeah, you keep saying that.
I have one
We have to
question.
trust in the process. Yeah.
One question. I'm not sure if I asked this before, but do traffic lights fall under your guys' purview, like the timing that they're...
Synchronization?
Yeah.
No, it's there's a collaboration, but primarily it's a traffic engineer in Public Works that deals with traffic signal synchronization. But transportation planning, which is my colleague David Kriski's area of expertise, he works closely with our city traffic engineer, which is Edward Yu.
Okay. Because I had a question about, okay, so on the corner of Main and Victory, the pedestrian crossing turns on for a little bit before the light actually turns green. And I was wondering if that could be done on Riverside Drive from Allen to the 134 freeway. Where pedestrians
give 'em a call.
are able to cross.
So it gives you like lead time?
Yeah.
And this is, you'd want to see something similar on Riverside and what?
From Allen to like the 134.
Don't we have a board that does that, or they combine that board with streets and something else?
There's a transportation commission.
Yeah, there
But
is.
something like this, if you want, probably easier, if you just email me and then I'll forward it to the appropriate parties and they give you an update as to where they would consider that item.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Or just appear in front of the Transportation Commission.
You can let me know and we'll follow up.
All right, anything else?
No, thank you for entertaining this information. I just wanted to make sure to let you all know, and especially Commissioner Elric, that we were following up on your items. It just, I know it takes time, but it's just, we had an opportunity to kind of tie those two into a larger planning effort. So we do hear you, and when we do get information, we try to identify when best to inform you of any updates.
We will now adjourn the meeting, planning board meeting, until Monday, December 11th. We do have a meeting, so put that in your schedule. This meeting will be held in person in the City Council chambers at 275 East Olive Avenue. The public is invited to attend the meeting in person or to view the meeting online or on television. In person, appropriate time during the meeting, or by leaving it. You can make comments by in person or e-comment, or by calling 818-238-3335. Wishing everyone a very happy Thanksgiving and good evening. Thanks for your participation.